channel, or welcome if this is your first time. Today I'll be bringing the tea literally and figuratively, basically the tea about the Plab test. So if you're an international medical graduate who's looking to work in the UK, practice medicine in the UK, then keep watching. Can we say hi to Fifi? Fifi's a fish. look, she's so cute, and she has this cute tail at the back. Like, she's really cute. She's basically my assistant, and she's here for, you know, moral support. Look at my mug. There's like a picture of a carrot cake. Guys, I digress a lot. Okay, so I'm just gonna get right into the video. Yeah, okay, so basically I assume that you know what the Plab test is, but the Plab test, for those of you who do not know, is the Professional and Linguistic Assessments Board's test, and it's basically a compulsory test for every medical graduate who's looking to, international medical graduate who's looking to work in the UK. There are two steps to the Plab test, Plab 1 and Plab 2. And the Plab 1 is basically a multiple choice question exam, and the Plab 2 is more of an objective, structured clinical examination. So what we call an OSCE. I still find it hard to remember these things. Okay, so before you can even register for the Plab 1 exam, you have to show that you have to show, kind of like present an English proficiency test. And by present I mean, you know, just put your scores on the GMC website. On the GMC website, you're required to open a GMC account, and I'd actually recommend opening the account after you've written your IELTS test. Okay, so I'm going too fast. For the English proficiency test, right, we're allowed to either write the IELTS or the OET. The IELTS is basically an international English language testing system, and OET is occupational English test. So the IELTS is more general, like people who are looking to work in, work among English speaking natives are required to write the English exam, are required to write the IELTS exam, whereas the OET is mostly written by like medical professionals like doctors and nurses. So it's more more like for healthcare professionals, right? So you could either write any of these exams. For the IELTS, there are 4 bands. There's the listening band, the speaking band, the writing band, and the reading band. And the requirements for everyone who's looking to write the Plab test is at least a 7 in each of these bands and a 7.5 overall. Now if you look at getting 7 in each band, that still doesn't make sense, because then your overall will be 7, and then, you know, and that will not be accepted. So you have to aim to, you know, get at least 7.5 to 8 in the bands, like in maybe listening and speaking, which is quite easy, and then maybe like a 7 in writing and 7 in reading. So that's what I would recommend. But like, you have to practice for the IELTS test. Like, don't be like, oh, I speak English, I'm an English native, I would need to read or practice. Because a lot of people have like, some people like write it like 2-3 times before they even, you know, pass. For the OET, I don't really know much about it because I took the IELTS test, but like I think the requirements is a B, because like it's not like, it doesn't have like numbers, it's like A, B, C, D. That's how it's graded. So like the minimum is to get B in each of the bands and an overall score of a B. So I know the IELTS, I'm gonna put the prices on the screen somewhere. I know the IELTS is about €200 here in Ireland, and the OET is like double the price, so like 390. I'm not sure. I will confirm and put the prices on the screen. I feel like the background's too bright, right? But I don't know what to do about that. I'm not a tech guru. I feel like I'll get better in time. Okay, so just moving on. For the IELTS, make sure you practice, guys. Do not underestimate this exam. People fail this IELTS exam. Okay, so moving on. So now you've passed your IELTS, The next thing is to open a GMC account and then register for your Plab 1 exam, right? So there's just like on the when you go to the website and open the accounts, you just everything is very, very explanatory. You see a place where it says book test, and you just click on that, and I think it'll ask you to put in your IELTS scores. That's why I recommend writing IELTS before registering, because you have to put like your test reference score or number or something like that. Then after you do that, you'll be taken to the page where you can register for your Plab 1 test, and now you're ready to go. So that page basically just has like the location, like the place you want to write, the date, and the price. The price for the Plab 1, the last time I checked, was like £280, if I'm right. Again, I'll confirm, I'll put the correct prices on the screen, but it's somewhere around that. And the Plab 1, like I said before, is mostly, it's actually just multiple choice questions, and it's single best answer. So there's like about 180 questions, and you have to pick one correct answer from each of the options that you get. Now I know like a lot of people, a lot of medical students might have passed the Plab 1 exam, but I usually recommend people to at least finish medical school before taking this test, because there are a lot of clinical questions, like a lot of clinical questions. Now the GMC forbids us from talking about the Plab exam. You're not supposed to talk about the exam once you leave the hall, but like just a snippet, okay? I got you guys. Yeah. I know, like, this is social media, anybody from GMC can see it and be like, Dixie Bio, we saw a video you put on YouTube, you know. Anyway, what the Plab 1 exam looks like, it's like, it comes like a 70-year-old man presents with suprapubic pain, blah 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 blah, this was done, this was this. Or they might just be like, what's the first line of management, or you know, it's something like that. That's what it looks like. So it's very clinical. There are a couple of like basic medical science questions. You might come across a bit of anatomy here and there, but it's not like the USMLE step 1 where there's like anatomy, biochemistry, and all those things that I do not remember. So there's like, it's very clinical based. So that's why I recommend that, like, you know, at least be doing the clinical part of medical school or your house job for you before you take the Plab 1 exam. But like the Plab 1 exam is one that you can, as long as you study and practice for it, you should be good. How long would I recommend? I spent about 2 months practicing for this exam, and I can tell you that on the morning of the exam I felt so unprepared. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like, you know, that company where people are like talking about, you know, oh, did you read this? Ugh. I'm like, I don't know what it is. Yeah, so I would recommend spending a longer amount of time. Like just take, you know, a couple of months to prepare. Some people spent about 6 months, some spent about 9 months, like, you know. So just anything that just you know yourself, just you know how long it takes you to study. Yeah, you know your strengths, your weaknesses. So just take your time. Do not rush this exam. Don't say, oh, this person did it in 2 weeks, because if you go on Facebook and read people's posts, you see someone that says, or someone that will say like, oh, I took only 2 weeks to study for this exam, I spent on like 4 weeks, I spent on like 3 days. So many things, right? But just take your time to practice. Now the IELTS that you've written is only valid for 2 years, so you should aim to complete your Plab 1 and Plab 2 within 2 years. After you pass your Plab 1, and I should also know that there are some academies that you can take that could help you prepare for Plab 1. I don't think it's important because there are a lot of materials online for you to pass this thing. You know, there's Plabable. Plabable is your friend. Okay, thank me later. After you pass your Plab 1, there is the Plab 2 exam. The Plab 2 is actually an OSCE, like I mentioned before. There are about 18 stations. Again, most of the things I'm saying are things that you can get on the GMC website. It's actually there, but I know people don't like to read. But your doctors, I believe, like to read. Anyway, it has about 18 stations. Your marks based on different things like data gathering, your interpersonal skills, your management, and all those things. So this is very patient-centered. You're there with your patient, and there's an examiner that is marking you based on your management. Yeah. But for Plab 2, I would recommend you attend an academy. Okay, there are so many academies. I don't know which one is the best one. I attended an academy. I know, again, there are those people. I need to find a name for these people. You know, those ones that are like, oh, I passed without attending an academy. We know you're smart, okay? We know. Shut up. But there are those people that you see that will tell you, you don't need to attend an academy. Please attend an academy. These people in the academy teach you things you need to know. They teach you medicine, the UK style. They teach you how to break bad news, like the UK style. Because, like, trust me, I grew up in Nigeria. The breaking bad news in Nigeria is so different, right? But it teaches you things that you have to look out for, things that you might think that it's all about the medical knowledge, the stuff. It's really not. Plab 2 is really not about medical knowledge. Well, you obviously need some medical knowledge to manage the patient, but like, you could have all this stuff and fail Plab 2, whereas you could just be like, you know, like me, like an average medical graduate and, you know, passed, right? Exactly. Trust me, you just need, I think you're just looking for a safe doctor, not the one that is like, oh, I know this. You're looking for a doctor that is like, you know, that knows their strengths, their weaknesses, their limits. You know when to consult other doctors, you know when to seek for help, you know that you have to discuss some things with your seniors, you offer patients leaflets. These little things carry marks, okay? So these are things that, like, they definitely do not want you to miss, right? Okay, so the Plab 1 costs about, oh, I said the price of Plab 1, I think, and then Plab 2 is about £840, I believe, and most of these academies charge like £500 to £600. I would say compared to like the Canadian exam and Australian exam and the American exam, Plab 2 is not so expensive, but you know, it is still, it costs money. So once you've passed your Plab 2, you are good to go. Now, I wrote my IELTS in March, like in, yeah, March 2018, and I wrote my Plab 1 September 2018, and I wrote my Plab 2 August 2019. That was like 11 months after. You don't have to do this. Like, I know people who wrote Plab 2 after, like, 6 months after Plab 1. You don't really have to wait for a year. It depends on how prepared do you feel. Okay, so just make sure that you take advantage of that 2-year limit for your IELTS. You don't want to be writing IELTS again and fail after you've passed Plab 2. It makes zero sense. So just make sure that you don't leave a long stretch, like you don't leave a long time after passing Plab 1, but that you also don't rush, okay? Like, you don't want to go and spend so much money and fail your exam, okay? So just give yourself adequate time, but it is very doable to write this exam in a year, like IELTS, Plab 1, and Plab 2 in a year. After you're done with your Plab 2 exam, you are ready to get your registration in the UK. Okay, so if you have done in Nigeria, I'm going to use Nigeria as an example because I did my internship in Nigeria after medical school. In Nigeria, internship is only for every internship is just for 1 year. However, in England, in the UK, most internships are for like 2 years. They call it the F1 and the F2. So for someone like me who has done like my internship in Nigeria, I could just apply for F2 jobs and do like a second year of internship. If you've worked for like additional years after your, you know, internship, then maybe you can skip the F2 part and apply for SHO jobs. However, if you've not done your internship at all, then you have to most likely apply for temporary registration and apply for F1 jobs. You won't get your full registration until you've done, like, you know, that first year of internship. Yeah, so that just, you know, when you're done with your Plab 2, just keep that in mind. You're either apply for temporary registration or full registration. The whole GMC registration period should take about, you know, a week, except you're like me and, you know, luck is just not on your side. Mine took months instead of days. I know, but that was my fault. I wasn't very, I made some mistakes in my application. So when they asked me for some documents, I did not have those documents. My application closed. I had to open another one, and then I got my full registration and I'm so happy. That's basically everything I think you guys need to know on the Plab exam. After you get your full registration, you can apply for jobs. If you're even very confident that you're going to pass your Plab, so you can start applying for jobs before you get your results, like if you're that proactive. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. What else do people need to know about the Plab exam? I'll just say very quickly the kind of attitude that I believe that, oh my god, it's almost 16 minutes. What am I saying? This is more than the tea. The tea was supposed to take about 10 minutes. Okay, fine. So I feel like with the attitude you need to take into that exam hall, you know, just into the whole Plab process or journey, is one of a very competitive nature. Let me explain what that means. For your Plab 1, there are about 180 questions. Like I said, when your result comes out, it's going to be reported like you scored 140, the average was 130, and the cutoff was 128, if that's really high. My point is that the cutoff is always really close to the average, just a few marks below the average. Yeah, so the cutoff always depends on the people you write with. They always, like, it's just like there's this bell curve and then there's like that average and then the cutoff is just somewhere here. So everybody below this fails. Do you get what I mean? And Plab 2 is the same way. Like, the people that determine the marks are the people you're writing with. So if someone is going to a station very confident, or you're there doubting yourself, oh, I don't know this, you're going to fail. Okay, you have to be, you have see, yes, they're looking for a safe doctor, but you also have to be confident. So don't doubt yourself. Okay, just be confident. And if you failed before, like, it's not the end of the world. One quote I strongly believe in is like, you only fail when you quit. If you don't quit, it's not really failure, because you're still working on it, you're still in the process of getting that thing. So you haven't failed yet unless you quit. So even if you failed Plab before, you can do it. Just be confident, you know, pray, study. Okay, study more than you pray. Okay, studying is very important. And practice. Find people who are also taking this exam and read together. Join groups. You know, all these things are very important, and I believe that that is basically all you do. If you guys need more tips on how to pass the Plab exam and you want me to make another video on this topic, let me know. And until I see you guys next time, stay safe. I love you muchly. Bye.